right, Charles, you can begin when you are ready.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our quarterly Georgia Commission on Family Violence Commission meeting. I am your co-chair, Charles Sperling. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us in this virtual space for this quarterly meeting. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to the work. For those of you who were not able to participate in the conference, let me say it was a great conference, and you'll hear more about that during the course of this meeting. The conference was filled with informative, thought-provoking, and sometimes challenging sessions. But without the challenge, then the work cannot be done effectively. So we are absolutely happy that you are here. So we're officially calling this meeting to order. And I think there's a sign-in sheet for everybody in the chat space to make sure that you're signed in. So make sure that you're able to do that. April has already talked about your full name being on the screen so that we can take appropriate attendance for the meeting. I'm going to move forward. One of the things that we will not from the agenda not do is approve minutes from our June meeting or September meeting. We will be doing that in December. So there have been some technical glitches, and we want to give you accurate information. So we're going to reserve the right to do that, or reserve the responsibility for doing that for a later time. Preferably, the target is for December. So I won't be asking for motions or any of that because obviously we won't be doing it right now. We'll move right into committee reports. And we'll hear from Jamila. We're just going to get some feedback from our conference. Jamila?
Judge Burton is going to do the summary, and I'll do the more deep dive a little later. So.
All right, my apologies, Judge Burton.
No problem.
That's okay. So the 30th annual statewide family violence was held at the Classic Center from August 25th to the 28th. There were 610 attendees. The conference theme was learning from the past and forging ahead together. The two keynote speakers were Dawn Schiller and Russell. They received great reviews from the attendees. They both discussed their journeys from their different perspectives, and information provided benefited all disciplines that were represented within the conference. Instead of a third keynote speaker this year, the attendees received a movie experience with popcorn and candy and soda. A documentary, Behind the Rage, was shown. This documentary was created by a women's rights activist and BAFTA, Peabody, and Emmy-winning maker Dia Khan. The documentary explored male violence against women and asked if rehabilitation and change are possible. The stories told were many people to hear, but the commission felt it was appropriate and important to bring the content to the conference to facilitate some conversations on how to better provide intervention and prevention in domestic violence. There were some really fun highlights of the conference. This was our 30th anniversary celebration. We had a 30th anniversary celebration reception. Attendees enjoyed food and fun, and for the first time in the commission's history, Debbie Liam led a flash mob. The flash mob excited the crowd. Many attendees danced until the reception ended, and those with more than 25 years of service were acknowledged during the reception. Debbie Liam also provided self-care such as meditation, yoga, and counseling for those who may have been emotionally triggered by the conference. And on the last day of the conference, a memorial tribute was given to those who played an integral role in the movement against domestic violence. Recognition given out to the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, the Department of Community Supervision, or DCS, and the Judicial Council or Administrative of the courts for their continued support of our commission. The scholarships provided by agencies sponsored 363 conference attendees. That's huge. Our annual awards were also presented at the conference. Tamika Daniel received the Gender Justice Award. Charles Sperling, our co-chair, received the Catalyst for Change Award. Anne Marie Lugo received the Task Force Member of the Year Award, and the Rockdale Task Force Against Domestic Violence received the Task Force of the Year Award. And the NOR Family Services received the Moving the Work Forward Award. The Georgia Coalition Against Domestic Violence presented Renee Carl with the In the Trenches Award as well. Also this year, partnered with CJCC's Georgia Victim Assistance Advocacy Academy. And so the academy was actually conducted simultaneously with friends, but their attendees were given time to attend the plenary session. For the second year, our exhibit hall was a success. The number of vendors doubled, and conference attendees were able to purchase a variety of items and receive some valuable information from all of the vendors. The committee thanked the board to pardon parole for providing the lanyards to conference attendees and all the vendors who provided all of the amazing raffle for the attendees, and there were some amazing raffle items. So conference planning is already. Next year's conference will be held in Jekyll Island from 24th to 27th, 2025. More information will be soon. And I have to tell you, I had so much fun co-chairing the conference with Anna Thomas, and could not have been more impressed with the staff of the Commission of Family Violence. The conference had parts, had so many people there, and it went off without a hitch. They did an amazing, amazing job, and I'm so very impressed by our staff. So thank you.
Thank you, Judge Burton. You didn't miss a beat. That was thorough, and I gained even a deeper understanding or clarity as you walked through some of the things that we accomplished at the conference. I'll say this, that flash mob, I saw some people moving. I didn't know they could move like that. It was absolutely amazing. I enjoyed watching. I did not participate, but it was a wonderful experience. Jamila, I saw you and you still moving. So it was.
I'll do it. Yeah, give me an opportunity. I'll dance anywhere. I don't care.
I said, that's a Jamila I know. I didn't know. I just got introduced to her. So great job for the conference and the conference planning. You guys did an excellent job. And again, I am thrilled to death to be the recipient of the Catalyst of Change Award. It has propelled me inspired me at least to do some deeper things regarding this issue with family violence and making some steps to get us all together again outside of the conference venue, so to have some deeper discussions about the work. So more to come I'll be talking more to April and the team about that. So once again, great job. I want to move now, Jamila. I think it's your report.
I'm going to have her move a little bit further down. She's going to do that after the director's report. We can move on to. Okay,
so we're not going to, the effort task force report and the legislative committee, we're going to move those further down in the agenda today. So April?
Yep, so that means we are ready for our community spotlight. And I believe I saw Emily Staples Kamer here. You here, Emily?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Let me give you co-host so you can share your screen.
I think I have it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
No, never mind. It's waiting. It was just pretty and green, and I thought I could go ahead and.
There you are. All right. Go for it.
Here we go. Okay. And then let me know when you can see it.
You are running.
Yes.
Yay, awesome. Well, good morning, everyone. It is exciting to be here. I have had the pleasure of speaking to this group a couple of times over the course of the last few years. And today, finally, we are here to talk about Vine and how it is in process of expanding in the great state of Georgia, right? So let's talk about kind of an update, right, since the last time that we've talked. So I am going to turn my camera off and share my screen. So real quick, for those in the room that are not familiar with Vine, we are based out of Kentucky. I've been with the organization for a little over 15 years, and we would not be here today if it wasn't for Mary Byron and her case. Put yourself kind of in her shoes. This is the early 90s here in Kentucky. And I'm sure this newspaper article headline is not something that y'all are unfamiliar with, unfortunately. So Mary was dating someone. She broke up with him. He retaliated. He stalked her. He broke into the home that she was living in and sexually assaulted Mary and held her hostage in her basement. She was able to convince him to leave, and she immediately picked up the phone and called 911. He was arrested shortly thereafter and put into one of our local facilities here in Kentucky. And she was told by the advocate at the DA's office that she would get notified if he were to get released. She had a safety plan that she had put together. Unfortunately, again, this is in the early 90s, right? It's a very manual process at that time. And he was bailed out. He was actually out for a couple of weeks. And Mary, it was her 21st birthday. She was leaving work. She had her balloons and cake. Her parents had visited her for lunch. She was warming up her car. Again, it was a December morning. And he walked right up and shot her multiple times, killing her immediately. Again, her and her family thought he was still in custody, right? Her family said, how could we have prevented this? What could we do? And they actually partnered with our founding officers to get Vine up and running in Louisville, Kentucky, a year to the date of Mary's murder. And this is actually our 30th year celebration of the system, right? And so I know in the state of Georgia that the process has been very manual, right, when it comes to automated notification, especially in a lot of the rural areas. So with the help of the great folks at CJCC and in partnership with the Sheriff's Association, Vine is now being made available statewide in Georgia. So Vine actually began in Georgia in 1996, so shortly thereafter Mary's murder. And it has primarily been focused on really the Atlanta metro counties, right, for the last 20 plus years. And so this past year, through a competitive bid process, Vine was awarded the contract, and we are expanding and making the system available to any sheriff's office that wants to participate. Again, we're talking about automated notifications, right? It's not only free to the end user, but it's also free for the sheriff's offices to opt into to be a part of the program. Victims are able to get notified immediately when a change of custody status happens at any of the participating jails. They can receive an automated phone call, an email, text message, TTY, or an in-app notification. Let's talk about where are we today, right? I mentioned earlier, you can kind of see that purple area here at the top of the state. Again, a lot of those counties were participating prior to the statewide contract, but we have a number of agencies in implementation. We've actually went live with 7 new counties since we began this new expansion project. And you can see here that we have 73 agencies that are currently in implementation. If you represent a county or work in one of these counties that you see here that are still in white, right? We need your help, right? We want these offices to be a part of this program. So I encourage you to reach out to your sheriff's office, reach out to contacts that you have and help inform them of the system and educate them on the system and its importance so that they can also participate in this potentially life-saving notification service. I wanted to talk a little bit about the details of Vine, right? Just really quickly, high level. As soon as someone is booked into custody at one of the jails in the state, Georgia Vine picks up that information and a victim can now access that information. They can check our website. We have a toll-free number that's national. We also have a Georgia Vine dedicated toll-free number. Someone can speak to a live operator 24/7 in over 300 different languages to not only check on an offender's custody status, but also choose to get registered to receive that notification. Once that victim's registered and that jail makes that update to their booking system, Vine, through our technology, immediately picks up that change and that notification is sent in that same 15-minute window, right? These are real-time notifications. I'd like to point out an additional feature to Vine, right? We focus on offender changes and notifications for so many years. We know that there is a large audience of individuals that are reaching out, that are accessing Vine. So we wanted to be able to connect them to services that are available or offered in the state. So Georgia Vine has a service provider component where a survivor can search for services. They can search by ways that they've been impacted. If they know a specific agency's name, they can search for that. And they can even narrow it down by county or zip code. We have built this directory and we are continuing to build this directory so that all of the services that are available in the state are represented in this directory. So again, I would encourage you, if you work for a provider, please do a quick search and see if your agency is represented. If not, I have my contact information at the end, and we would love to get connected to you to make sure that your agency is a part of this service as well. So looking at statistics, right? So who is Vine reaching? Again, we're talking about expanding. Just in the last year, we have made almost 60,000 notifications to victims of crime, right? In that same time period, we've had almost 21,000 new survivors, new victims registered to say, I want to receive this notification. We've also had a little over 2,000 individuals perform a search, right? They want to get connected to a provider in their area. So they're using Vine to do that search. Again, we are excited to see these numbers continue to grow as we not only bring agencies on, but as we also spread the word about Vine and talk about it in each of our communities, because victims may not be aware of it unless someone presents this information to them, right? There are some additional Vine resources. Real quick before I talk about this slide, I did want to mention that we do have trainings available, right? So today, if you know that your agency would like some additional training on the system, again, you can contact me to get that. We also have print material and literature that we make available that's Georgia Vine specific that you can also hand out to individuals that you're working with. Those items are already available. They're in the state today. I know that the Prosecuting Attorneys Council has access to that. The Sheriff's Association also has access to that print material. And then Christy at the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council also has access to those materials. So they are wanting to hand these out. They want each agency to have that literature. And then lastly, really quickly, I wanted to talk about an enhancement for Vine, something that we continue to talk about in the state of Georgia. It's obviously an area where there is a lack of notification today, but another component of Vine actually allows for a petitioner to receive notifications on protective orders, right? So we're talking about orders being served maybe an order is coming up for expiration. Maybe there's a firearm attempt connected to a petitioner and a protective order. So a victim through the same Vine portal can also get registered to receive notifications on protective orders. And again, that's not available today in the state of Georgia, but as we continue to expand, this is one area where the state has shown interest in fulfilling a gap, right, in the system today. I think that's pretty much it, April. I wanted to leave time for questions for the group. I don't know if the format allows people to come off mute or not, but
Sure. Well, in this instance, normally, if any commission members have any comments or questions or related to this segment, then you are certainly welcome to raise your hand or come off mute and ask those. However, if you're not a commission member and you have a comment or question about this presentation, you can submit the request to speak during the public comment segment. Or you can also certainly reach out to Emily. Her contacts and the CJCC and Shelley's contacts are all listed here, so you can reach out to them directly after the meeting if you want. But if you'd like to address something during this meeting and you're a member of the public, you can do that during the public comment section. Emily, are you going to be hanging around for a few minutes longer?
Absolutely, I can definitely do that.
Sure. So she will be around if anybody thinks of something. But commission members, if you have any questions or any comments for Emily.
You spoke about training, Emily. Can you talk a little bit more about what that would entail, and how would one be able to get you help with a training like that? And what's the length of time, the time in terms of investment and such? So.
Great question. So we have an entire training department and a training team that is made available to anyone that's interested in receiving that information. We've done a number of trainings really over the last 12 months in the state. So we can be available to do a webinar training that's specific for your agency, or we could do an on-site training if we were able to get enough interest in a certain area. We also have pre-recorded webinars that we've done that we can also make available so that your team can watch those on demand or as they choose. We even have a train the trainer format. So if you're interested in getting trained on how to train on Vine, our training team also allows that. And any of those resources can be made available just by contacting me. We will probably be hosting another webinar for the state of Georgia, probably before the end of the year. And so once we establish that date and time, we'll make sure to get it out to the commission and members so that everyone has access to attend that.
Looks like Anna. Oh, Charles, you had a follow up?
No. I was just saying. I was just thanking her. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Emily. Question about if you have any crime victims that maybe aren't tech savvy or, just aren't comfortable using this type of technology. Is there a way to still reach them and, be able to provide this great assistance without it having to be, tech-based or whatnot?
So there is the phone call capability, right? And so calling a landline. So they can get signed up. They can actually talk to a live operator who can help them get registered if they need assistance. And they can choose the phone call method, which would be basically an automated call that comes to their cell phone. And they can receive it that way. We also have survivors that will also have maybe their advocate or a family member register. So that option also exists where you can expand kind of your network of folks that you want to also get registered to receive notification. So we want to make sure that we're reaching victims in whatever way they feel comfortable. We also have a lot of folks that call. There's a story from New York that I always share where a little girl, her father murdered her mother, and she was only like 6 or 7 at the time, and she didn't want to register to get notification, right? But she called and talked to our operators every single night before she went to bed, just to hear them say he's in custody at XYZ agency. So whatever folks are comfortable with, we're here to help.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any other questions from commission members? Being none, Emily, thank you so much for that information, and I'm certainly interested in contacting you after this meeting to see how we can take advantage of, especially in task force. So that was some things that I was thinking about as you were presenting. So thanks again. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you guys so much for having me, and I'll hang on here for a little bit. And then again, my contact information is here. Feel free to contact me at any time. We appreciate your support and all that you do.
Great, thank you, Emily.
Okay, all right. So moving right along in our agenda, we got new business section of our agenda. And I'll take a minute, April, if it's okay with you, to go ahead and talk a little bit about new commission members.
Sure.
All right, so in this space, I'll talk a little bit about new commission members. We really want to welcome Solicitor Rebecca Jackson from Carrollton County, who is a new commission member. I don't know if she's on the call or not, but we are so happy that she's a part of the work now. And we're looking forward to working with her. April and that team is absolutely excited about all the new commission members. In addition to that, we want to welcome Joan Pretty, who is from Project Safe. I think she's the executive director for Project Safe, and long-term advocate for the commission. And again, another individual who April and the team is looking forward to working intimately with, in order to move us forward as we continue to participate in this work. You know, this work is challenging. You know, it's challenging and it's rewarding. The idea of eliminating or mitigating violence against women, family violence, is challenging. And I know in my work every day, it calls for me to challenge myself how to find solutions that are workable and meaningful and scalable. And these are the things that I'm interested in most of the time. So when new commission members come aboard, we're absolutely ecstatic, because I know your heart's in the right place, because it's not for the salary that you'll be receiving. So understanding that, we appreciate that so very, very much. But again, just the reward. My reward is something that I sit down with at the end of the day at the side of my bed, and I'm thankful to God that I can put forth effort to help change the life or change the direction of some of the people that I work with. And that's a sincere comment. So I just wanted to add that. April?
Yes. Well, good.
Go ahead.
I saw Joan was on here. Joan, I don't know if you want to take a moment since you're here. I don't think I saw Solicitor Jackson, but Joan, if you want to take a moment here, I know most of us here know you anyway, but I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and be welcomed in.
Well, thank you, April. I appreciate it. And I feel like this has been a long time coming. I first started working with the commission right after it was created. I wound up doing clemency petitions for incarcerated survivors at the request of the very first commission chair, Dr. Louise Bill of Kennesaw, and we got going with that right away, really after the establishment of the Family Violence Act. So it's been a long career of working alongside that, and then Project Safe and the Georgia Domestic Violence Bench Book. So I'm just delighted to be here, and my apologies for being late. I was coming off of another meeting this morning, but just very grateful to be here and looking forward to getting to know you all better and working together.
We've got plans for you, Joan. Big plans.
All right.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you so much. Okay, so and now we're mentioning, I think Judge Bishop is stepping down, if I'm not mistaken, and that's a position that will be vacant on the Board of Commissioners. So April will talk more about that. And his work is, oh my God, you can't say enough about Judge Bishop. So we will certainly be missing him as we move forward. Just wanted to make mention of that. And now we'll hear from April, I think, with the director's report.
Yes. So I've kind of reversed our staff update this meeting. So we're going to start with my report, and then you will hear from the team members. But I want to take a moment before we get into that and just brag on my team and put a spotlight on them for a moment. So this team, first of all, has grown. And I want to introduce who we've got now, because we've also had a restructuring. So if you've been around for a while, you may see new faces that you hadn't seen before, but you also may see some old faces, but those old faces are now in new positions. So I want to take a moment and sort of introduce our team again and reintroduce to others. So Jamila Farrell, everybody knows Jamila. She's been around. She is the MVP. Everyone loves Jamila. Jamila has taken on a new role in the commission. She is the Director of Program Planning and Development. So she's overseeing and guiding all of the programs within the commission. She's got a hand on it. She's helping plan and facilitate new initiatives. Jamila's basically already had her hands in a little bit of everything with the commission. So now it's official and it's a part of her title. So thank you so much, Jamila, for all the work you do. And thank you so much for accepting this new role and responsibility. I also have two new members of the leadership team who I'm going to introduce. Again, people you've seen around, you may know, but these folks are in new positions now. Stacy Selden has been with the commission for a while as well. Stacy was the task force coordinator for the state. So for many years, she has been holding down the state with all the task forces. But she is now the senior project coordinator for grants and special projects. Stacy will be taking a hands-on direct role with the guidance and the deliverables for each of our special projects and all of our grant funded projects. And she'll be working closely with Jamila to work through that. Also, and this is a really fitting change, you may know well Kylie Elliott. Kylie has been with the commission now for around 5 years. And she came in as the murder-suicide support project coordinator. A very important project, a relatively new project at the time she came in, and boy, did it explode under her. And Kylie just really made it blossom. But in that time, we realized that Kylie had a passion and a knack for something else, training. So Kylie is our new senior coordinator for training and engagement. So she is going to coordinate and kind of guide our strategy for training, delivery, and for internal training to help keep our staff current and keep our expertise sharp. But she's also leading a new charge, because I learned that she's pretty good with new things. So Kylie is also leading our engagement charge, meaning we're trying to figure out how we communicate and make sure we do it good and do it great. I'm sorry. So she is leading our social media launch, and she's also looking at making changes to our newsletter delivery and some other things. So Kylie is in that role now. Carolyn Brooks, somebody you may also know. She's a little bit newer than some of the other team members, but she's been around now for enough years that she's an old head. I'll call her an old head. But Carolyn has been the fatality review coordinator for many years. She is now going to be the lead project coordinator for both the fatality review project and the law enforcement education project. So she's taking on and guiding the deliverables for both of those projects very directly. And she'll be working closely with one of our new team members I want to introduce, Rachel Rothman. She is now taking on the role of research and data analyst. Rachel has, a great resume, and she is excited and brilliant. And we're really excited about what's going to happen under her with our data delivery and our analysis and some of the new areas that she's got ideas about. So look forward to a lot more from Rachel. Then we've created a new role and brought in two wonderful individuals to fill it. So I want to introduce Carol Chateau and Tim Griffin. Carol and Tim are both our new family violence coordinators. They will both be handling the family violence intervention program and task force work. So we always had one person doing the whole state for intervention programs, one person doing the whole state for task force. So the two of them are going to work together, merge those efforts, help to bring intervention programs into the task force work, which is important to do anyway, because we've got to incorporate the offender piece and the intervention and prevention piece we talked about earlier with what we're doing in our communities to make a difference. So Carol and Tim are going to be handling that. They're really starting to sink their teeth in, and they're really learning a lot. These guys are just a few weeks old, so they're really babies in terms of commission years. And so, but they are very eager to learn and meet you all. So these are your new faces of task force and intervention programs. And Jamila and Stacy are happy I'm saying this because they're like, please stop asking me for intervention program and task force. You can still reach out to them, but they will start bringing Carol and Tim more into responding to you. So that's what you're going to start seeing. Then also we've had to replace Kylie with the murder suicide project because we certainly don't want to leave that hanging. And boy, did we pick somebody competent and ready to do this. Danielle Edwards, she is a licensed clinical social worker. Did I get it right? Yep, licensed clinical social worker. She's already been a part of the murder suicide response network that we've had for the last 2 years. She actually facilitated our very first murder suicide group. Was it the first one? Yes, she facilitated the very first murder suicide support group. And as you know, Georgia is leading the state in that leading the nation in that because no other state has anything like this. And it is getting phenomenal results from the survivors who are participating. So really help us spread the word about this support group. Murder suicide survivors, family members, surviving family members, and even surviving victims can join these support groups. So it is free, it is virtual, anybody can join from anywhere around the state, and it is led by clinical social workers, and there is a structured program to help them work through that complicated grief that comes with murder suicides. So that is what Danielle is doing now. She's also doing direct services with murder suicide survivors. And last but not least, Jackie Herrera, who is not with us today, she's ill, but Jackie is the Firearms Lethality Alert Georgia program. That is our newest program, and she is still working on launching the pilots for that. We have identified 3 locations, and possibly a 4th is coming on board, and we'll be launching pilots, so you'll be hearing more about that project's work in time to come. So I know that was a lot, but I just really needed to brag on them and talk about them. This team has come in and they jumped into the conference, did a phenomenal job. They're jumping into their projects and doing a phenomenal work. And I really want to say thank you to this team because, you can be at the head of a ship, but if you don't have a crew to help you sail, you're not going very far.
That is true.
So I appreciate you all. You all really carry the load. So a quick updates about some of the stuff we're doing, and I'm not going to get into much detail because the team is going to talk about some of their stuff. But we have restructured. I will provide the commission members with a new organizational chart that will show you what I just went through. Our grant funded programs just in general are all on track to meet their planned deliverables for the year. And you'll be hearing more about for instance, the publication that's coming out of the Fatality Review Project. As well as the fact sheet for the year is already available and published. So it is available on our website, and commission members, I believe you got a link. You're going to get a link to it in the staff reports that you get from the meeting. So all that information is available to you. Also, we have we're moving forward still. I know we continually to talk about the FVIP rules revision. It's I would call this project in a slow roll. We are making progress, but it is slow and steady. And as they say, that usually wins the race. So we are in a preview and feedback phase where we're walking through this with the committee task force members, the FVIP task force committee members, as well as our legal department and some other folks to get some initial feedback that may help us be prepared before we give the public comment feedback section. It may help us to eliminate some challenges and make that public comment a little smoother, or at least prepare us for how we may respond to some challenges from the public comment. So we're getting close to public comment period for that, but it is a slow roll. So it is a lot to do. It's a big change. So we have to take our time and do it right. Again, you've heard a lot about the conference. Thank you for everybody for that. I do want to make a quick mention, and I think Charles already alluded to it. one of the things that's challenging with the conference is always figuring out what content to provide. What's going to reach a multidisciplinary audience and be effective and bring a message home that we believe is in line with what our theme is for that year, as well as aligned with what the mood is with our work at this time. And we know for a fact that sometimes means presenting challenging material. What I'll say though is our conference for the last several years has taken the step, which not all conferences do, to provide free on-site, on-call counseling or support for anybody who attends our conference and feels disturbed or triggered by any of the content, whether it's a workshop, a plenary session, conversations, anything that's happening that's bringing stuff up for you. We try to make sure we are taking care of you at the same time. So we'll continue to do that, but we also believe it is our responsibility to push boundaries and ask tough questions and bring tough conversations. If you have ideas for workshops, content, information, or constructive feedback about information that's been brought or ways we can bring it better, please send us that feedback. We really are trying to improve our feedback loop. That's part of our communication changes so that we can get from you, our biggest stakeholders, the folks out here doing the work, information, and help in that because we can only be what you need us to be if we have your insight. So please share information with us and share ideas. And if you're going out in the country or visiting other conferences or attending other events, and you see or hear a great speaker, let us know about it so we can bring that to the people of Georgia. We love that we're always searching for people around this nation that are doing great things to bring to you all. So help keep us informed. Help be our eyes and ears out there to bring updated content and great information. There is an item that I would like to propose to the commission for a vote, but I'm going to reserve that to the end. I talked about the newsletter transition that's going to happen. So I know we were initially trying to do a bi-monthly newsletter communication to commission members, but what we realized is that we were actually doing about 3 or 4 different newsletters to 3 or 4 different subgroups of our overall audience. And we are going to consolidate that into a comprehensive newsletter that we're going to periodically put out for everybody. So the newsletters have slowed because we are working on transitioning to a new format. The legislative efforts for 2025 are still underway. We are in an early discussion phases. Joan, I know I'm going to pull you into some of this legislative committee work, which is, I think, where you like to be. So we're going to be getting busy, and I know some other commission members are on the committee. I'll be reaching out soon. We may still have time to plan a legislative roundtable for the year. We did not get one in last year, so if we can try to get one in this year, I think we should try. It's a good feedback opportunity for us, but we'll be finalizing our legislative priorities for the year and presenting those in December. If anybody out there is working in your organization and you all have a legislative item that you're working on this year in the state legislature, please, and you want the commission's support or endorsement on it, please bring that, email me and with that information, and we can put you on the agenda to introduce it in December, and the commission can vote to endorse it and support your efforts in the beginning of the year. So you can always send ideas about what you're working on to us. You'll hear a lot about the training series and all the information around training from Kylie and the outreach. We're also looking at doing some operational improvements. We're revising our website. The team is getting trained on some of that right now, but we're going to be doing some changes to our website, again, to make information more accessible and digestible. We're also looking at new management software, project management software, bringing that in. So we're researching options to adopt a software that may help us streamline our workflow and efficiency. And so we can focus on the business of being the experts in the family violence field and not doing so much bogging down in administrative and kind of that kind of work. So we're looking to get more efficient as a overall commission. And so really quickly, I want to bring up the December commission meeting and propose for a vote. 2 things. First, I'd like to propose a date change. Your agenda and the proposed calendar for the year has the December meeting as December 8th. And more than half of my team is going to be out, I think 2/3 of the team almost is not going to be available for that December, commission meeting on the 8th. They're training and doing a number of other things and traveling, for work. So I promise you they're not out partying and starting the holiday early. So we're looking at December 13th for the date change. And the second piece of that is that, I've mentioned it before, we would like to do this meeting in person as a part, public meeting, of course, but also part, holiday, reception for the commission members and staff. We have a location at the Cobb County Family Justice Center that's been opened up now, getting close to a year, I believe. They're really a great facility. They have a nice space, that's open and available to us as a project partner. So that space is available and we like to do a gathering. So I wanted to vote because I know we've been, maintaining our position as, all meetings being, virtual. Now, there is capacity in that meeting space to have that meeting as a hybrid, where commission members can still join and the public can still join remotely. But there will only be a small segment that will be remote, which will be the meeting segment. The rest of it will be engagement with the staff and commission member through the reception. Now, we don't want to do it if a lot of folks can't come. So if you don't think that it's something that, you're able or willing to, well, I'm sure you're willing, but able to attend, if we're not going to really have many, commission members who can be there, then it may be best to just keep that meeting virtual. So I wanted to propose to the commission members to vote to change the date to the 13th and do you want to have that meeting in person or keep it virtual? So I will entertain a motion, in order to have that vote.
I'll motion. Barbara Neville.
Okay.
April, what is the time though?
The meeting will still be 10 a.m. And unless we need to look at shifting it later, but we can maybe move it to 11, but we typically try to have it, top of the late morning. So it will still be the 10 a.m. to noon, meeting time. So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second it. It's Michelle.
And just to clarify, this is to change the date to the 13th and have the meeting in person. All right, so we have a motion and a second proper. Any other discussion or questions before the vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, any opposed?
Nay, here.
Okay. Well, the ayes have it. So we will have that commission meeting on December 13th and it will be in person, but we will still provide a link for anybody to join on Zoom. And just so you know, the meeting portion, the public meeting portion of that, which will be in person, is still open to the public. So if you want to join us at the Justice Center and you're a member of the public, you may still join the public meeting. However, the reception that follows will be just for the commission members and staff. And also, just so you know, the Family Justice Center at Cobb is going to be offering tours of their facility to anybody who's there. And they're going to do us an exclusive tour for the commission members. So thank you all for entertaining that vote, and we look forward to seeing you in December in person. And that concludes my report.
Wonderful. Thank you, April. Jamila is on the agenda.
Yes. Yes, I'm gonna go now, and thank you, Judge Burton, for delivering the overall summary for the conference earlier. And I just want to say that you, Judge Burton and Anna Thomas, were phenomenal co-chairs of this committee. They did a great job and they kept the momentum at the conference. Every time they got up to speak, it was phenomenal. So I just want to thank them for their leadership with this. So you all heard about the great stuff that happened earlier. Judge Burton gave a great overview of the conference, but I'm going to go over and do a little deep dive into the evaluation results. So you're going to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we use these evaluations to assess ourselves and how we can move forward and make the conference greater every year. So, as you all know, this is our 30th annual conference. So, we put a lot of effort into, doing some things different, making it a little bit more exciting. Some things were wins, some were not, but, overall it was a good conference. And it was at the Classic Center, as Judge Burton mentioned, and, August 25th through the 28th. So we did have about 635 attendees that registered, but overall in the attendance, we had about 610 that actually attended the conference. So in our evaluations we received 380 evaluations. So maybe a little over half of the participants did complete the evaluations. So this was helpful in us, and we'll use this to move forward. So the first part of the evaluations, we wanted to know how useful was the conference in certain areas. So it was people had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. So in providing with new perspectives on the work you do, we got a 4.48. Providing new and innovative solutions to issues surrounding domestic violence, a 4.36. Helping better understand domestic violence from the point of view of the survivor, 4.4. Informing you on best practices for addressing domestic violence in your profession, 4.33. Providing insight into working with underserved and culturally specific populations, 4.24. Providing new ideas for working with domestic violence victims and perpetrators, a 4.35. Facilitating meaningful opportunities for engaging interactions, networking, and collaboration, 4.46, and providing opportunities to network with other attendees who work with victims or perpetrators in professional capacities different from your own, 4.45. So I still think we did good in those areas. We didn't receive like a 5, but we were close to it. So I think we still did good in those areas. The next part is, how would you rate the overall quality of the conference? So were the plenary keynote speakers and presentations engaging, relevant, and impactful? We received a 4.58. How well did the workshop presenters engage the audience and deliver valuable content? 4.49. How satisfactory were the conference location and logistical details? So that's the venue, the accommodations, and the meals. That we received a 4.46, and I'll get more into that a little later because we did have some comments about those things as well. How satisfactory were the seating capacity and layout flexibility of the rooms for the plenaries and workshops? Overall, we received a 4.43. They asked about the Wi-Fi, if we had enough technical stuff, were people able to utilize that? A 4.46. How satisfactory were the venue's accessibility and accommodations for attendees with restricted mobility or other specific special needs? We received a 4.51, but I did see some comments that said it was a little difficult for folks that had a cane to navigate those halls, and also some people in wheelchairs had issues going up and down it was on the first level, like the second level where the workshop rooms were. It was a little slope, so some people did have issues with that. So that's something that we do need to take into account when we plan again. And also, we did have an issue with the American Sign Language interpreters. So that was, something beyond our control, but, we will do better in accommodating that next year. How well did the conference align with your expectations and needs? We received a 4.40. How would you rate the on-site conference registration process? We received a 4.468, but I did receive some reviews that said that, they had a hard time navigating the app. So that is something that we will work on. And, but overall, they said the check-in process was easy. How satisfactory was the overall conference? And that was a 4.56. And how would you rate the professionalism of the conference staff? So that's a 4.75. I want that to get a little higher, to like at least a 5, because I do believe in customer service. So on the next question, these were where we received some, feedback with comments. What actionable insights or strategies did you gain from the conference? A lot of people mentioned the technology that was useful for apps, when working with victims, the technology impact. Some people say how to be a better overall advocate. A lot of people learned a lot about, you know, the FFIP programs. And, you know, I did see, you know, conflicting comments about, you know, this was the first conference that had a lot of content for FFIPS. And then I saw some folks that said they wanted more, you know, content for FFIPS. So, you know, I think we're doing better. I think this was an improvement this year. A lot of people, they did like the networking between the different disciplines. They were able to connect. So that was a good thing. A lot of people received information about working with, you know, marginalized communities, in particular, the transgender, the LGBTQ community. So that was good. Also, you know, some people, this was their first conference and they said that they gained a lot of insight on, you know, domestic violence and all of the key players in Georgia. So I think that, you know, we did do a good job with that. I did see one comment that stood out to me, and I think that was one of the things that we wanted to focus on this year, because we did bring in content about, you know, more about the perpetrators of domestic violence. And someone said that, you know, they did learn they're going to monitor their language around, you know, humanizing perpetrators, because we're not saying that what they do is great, but sometimes in our response, it can definitely, you know, change the trajectory of how we want the outcome to be. So I think that was a win. Also, moving on, just to give you a highlight, what people enjoyed most about the conference and why. A lot of people did enjoy the speakers. I think we had some phenomenal speakers this year at the conference. The keynote speakers were great and they all received good reviews. A wide array of professions attending. A lot of people love to see how the coordinated community response actually works together. People bringing different perspectives. I think this was one of the first conferences where we had a lot of different perspectives brought in, and some people appreciated that. So that was a good thing. A lot of people mentioned that they enjoyed the reception. You know, I think that was a win, and that's something that we might look into moving forward with our, you know, upcoming conference, you know, to possibly incorporate a reception where people can let their hair down and just have fun. So the flash mob and all that was great. Diversity of the subject matter, that was something that was a running theme throughout. And of course, the therapy dogs. I mean, who don't like that? I mean, some people don't like dogs, but that was a highlight for me. Definitely the therapy dogs. And, you know, some people said it was increasing morale and hope for those who work in the family violence arena. So those are areas where we definitely, you know, we're proud of. So we're glad that those were things that people did enjoy about the conference. And also the vendors. People really liked the vendors. I think we had and Carolyn did a great job with getting a variety of folks from different, you know, aspects to be, you know, vendors. We had folks selling, you know, body products, soaps, different things like that, books. We had some informational booths. So I think that was a win. And, you know, so next year we'll look at, you know, how we can make that better and just improve upon what we've been doing. What did you enjoy least about the conference? So this is always the part that, you know, I get a little nervous about, but, you know, in order to improve, you have to hear the bad stuff too. People are always, you know, we're either going to win or lose with the food. You know, we did the best we can. I enjoyed the food, but I did see a lot of comments about the food, and I think we need to do a better job when it comes to, you know, maybe the vegetarian or the vegan options. You know, I understand, you know, we don't want to, you know, people, you know, not give them a decent amount of protein. Those were some of the, you know, remarks that I received, but we can only do what we can do with the, what they provide. But that is something that we will look into moving forward. A lot of people felt like some of the content was basic level. And I think when you have a mixture of folks coming to the conference who have been doing this for many years and you know, people who are novices in the area, you're going to get like some people like, okay, I know this. And now what? So, you know, that was something I did see a lot of comments about. They wanted more advanced level content. The length of the conference, some folks felt like, you know, maybe the sessions were too long. The breaks may have been too long. So, and the length of the conference were too long. So in order for, and I mean, I'm not making an excuse, but sometimes we have to build in those breaks, you know, to give people some downtime. And also the length of the workshops. I mean, people come to our conference to get continuing education hours. So we have to have a certain amount of time in order for you to get a decent amount of hours. So Well, we will look at, you know, how we can restructure the conference to make it a little bit more comfortable for folks. We did have, you know, some people who didn't like the location. They didn't feel comfortable in the seating or, you know, the parking, different things, you know, logistical stuff. But again, our conference is so large that, you know, many of the venues in Georgia cannot accommodate us. So that's why we go to Athens a lot. But we are going to be looking into some other venues as well. And the conference app, you know, I think some people, they loved it. If you're a technology person, you either loved it. And if you are not, you didn't like it so much. So we did have some folks that did not like the app, but we are, you know, moving more towards a technology-based type of process with our conference. And we will do our best to improve upon that. And for, you know, for future conferences, we did ask if, you know, there were some topics that you all wanted to see. And a lot of people wanted to see like more on how to engage non-service providers and community to support the efforts for domestic violence. So that's a good idea, to bring in those who aren't our usual, you know, allies, or those who are not working in this field, bring them into the fold a little bit more. More on marginalized communities, particularly the LGBTQ community. Some people wanted more workshops focused on actionable items, you know, not just, you know, it was great to hear the stories and testimonies, but I think people want more actionable things that they can use within their programs or in their line of work. Some people wanted more content on women's use of violence. So I think that, you know, we will look into bringing more speakers in that can speak to that. And some people wanted to see, you know, more content on working with younger adults or teens, and as it relates to like sexual violence and prevention. So those were just an overall, we did get a lot of, you know, different, you know, comments, and we're compiling it all into a report. But also, you know, the mental health illness, a lot of people wanted to hear more about that. So that concludes the brief summary of our evaluation for the conference. And if anybody has any questions for me, I'm open to it. But that concludes my report.
Thank you, Jamila. No, I mean, any of the other commission members have any questions or comments for Jamila? We would like to hear them now. You did a great job in the report, but you did a great job at the conference. It was wonderful. And I know, and I continue to say that from every platform that I get, I know how much work it goes into making these things happen. So I applaud the effort. So thank you so much.
Hey, Jamila, this is Jessica with Kim and Our Latino. So first off, I just want to say, from way back in the day when I was an intern for the commission and had to help with the food, I know that that's something passionate, but from also attending the conference for many years, I know I am not a vegetarian or vegan, so I know that there's a whole different set of challenges, but I will say that overall the food was delicious. And I was so happy not to have the sandwiches. I still miss tacos, but at the same time, the cold cut and that kind of stuff. So I think you guys did a great job. And again, with 600 plus people, it's always going to be a challenge. But I see you guys doing a great effort in terms of just the food getting better and better. My other question, and I hadn't really, I hadn't even thought about this, is that in the registration process, was there also accommodation requests in relation to ESL? So basically for participants who may be, because I know that we had several team members who attend this year that are new to the team and they understand English, but to really be able to get the most out of it, it would have been really helpful to have had Spanish interpreters in the different sessions. But I wasn't sure about whether or not that had been offered because I never really thought about it.
So Jessica, that's a great comment. And what I'll say is we sort of generally ask for accommodations in the registration. So we don't kind of pick segments, but we are certainly fully capable of providing Spanish speaking or you know, interpreters for any language. We have a relationship as a state agency with a number of vendors who offer a wide variety of languages. So we can always bring in an interpreter, not just sign language. We can always bring an interpreter, and that interpreter, the way it works, will stay with that person. Whatever workshop they go into, that person will have that interpreter with them. And then that interpreter is also in the plenary sessions. So the answer to your question is yes, we definitely can do it. We maybe can word the accommodation section of the registration so that people know they can make those kinds of requests as well.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We can add that, like that language to it. And Jessica, if you, we already talked a little bit in the chat, but I do want to talk to you more about that because this is an area where I'm not as familiar. And I think, we even had, some challenges with the ASL interpreters as well. And with the, we thought some, like putting subtitle, like on the screen, that would help, but they said, no, that wasn't, sufficient. So, I just want to know like what we can do to make it more accommodating to those who are attending. Because I did see a comment about Spanish speaking, participants at the conference. I did see that. And it was something else I meant to say about the movie. And I know we got mixed reviews on that. And we, chose to show that because we wanted to bring that content, that voice into the conference. And we did, receive mixed reviews on that. And I know that either some people felt uncomfortable with it, some people felt extremely challenged, or some people really, really loved it. But I think moving forward, and this may be, on me, I would have probably have, consulted with you, Jessica, Charles, more of our effort folks to kind of, have that conversation with the attendees so that maybe we could have fleshed it out. Because there was an area where people said they would have liked more conversation. So that's something that I guess moving forward, we can definitely look into that. I think Joan.
Any ways in which we can help count us in. So thank you. And great job again.
Thank you. I think Joan has a question.
Yeah, so again, just kudos on the conference. The parts that I attended I thought were terrific, and it's, good Lord, it has gotten so much larger over the years than it used to be, and so I can only imagine all the details and pulling it off. I remember previous conferences where the workshops were labeled. So as a presenter, you were asked to identify the audience for your workshop, not just in terms of substantively, but also whether the content was for new folks in the field or for more advanced practice. And I felt that was a really helpful guide. And I found myself with some of the workshops that I was able to attend wishing that I had an alert, because I was one of the folks that found maybe content more basic than what I was hoping for in some of the things that I had seen. So, I agree, you have to have a really wide variety of topic areas, and there's always going to be people that are new to the field, and we want them to get that basic education. But I think if we want to keep getting folks to come who are more experienced, so having a way of doing that labeling, I think would be a way of just managing expectations.
Yeah, Joan, you're absolutely right. And I will say we are certainly, that is one of our challenge areas, is always the experience levels of the content, and really finding that advanced content. So, we would love to collaborate more on finding advanced content topics or understanding what folks are thinking about when they're saying, I want advanced content. Because that may mean different things to different people. So we always struggle a little bit with advanced content. We certainly look for diverse content, but we would like to be able to meet that mark when it comes to advanced content.
Mm-hmm. And one other just thought that had occurred to me, because and I know you mentioned like the breaks, the longer breaks, and that was something I think you got mixed reviews on. And of course, a lot of folks do need those breaks in between. But then I was just wondering if for some of the breaks, would it ever be possible to have a kind of directed or facilitated conversation where, during the breaks, folks who want to talk about FVIP or whatever can meet in the so-and-so room, and experienced DV advocates who want to gather can meet in the thus-and-so room. And it just sort of an invitation, and maybe with just a very light moderating, but that allows folks who want to network but maybe aren't finding the right folks or getting to dig deep enough while they're standing at the cookie line, could have a place where they could go and find an affinity group and feel like they're getting some stuff, sharing some information and learning some more still. I just wondered if that might be an optional thing that could happen in some of those lengthy breaks.
I agree. I think that's a good idea, Joan, because some people need to be stimulated. Some people, they want to go and do whatever, but I do feel like, when we have those long lags, people can get like, why, like I need to do something. So I agree. I think that would be a good use of people's time to have like, some kind of facilitated discipline group, or maybe, some of the stuff that people have been talking about, that bringing that CCR together, bringing those folks together and maybe have like a moderated type conversation that, can help guide the work. I think that's an excellent idea. I do.
Particularly if it's an elective, so, people can choose to do that. I think it's a one.
Yeah, it's not going to be required.
Right.
Yeah, something optional. Mm-hmm.
Right, just an optional thing that everyone who wants the break gets the break, but if people want to carry on conversation and they want to find their people, and I feel like that would be a way also to utilize volunteers or amongst folks who would just be willing to be the person in the room, whether it's commission members or others.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea as well, and some being strategic about how we go about doing that is also should be important in the development of that discussion, so that it is facilitated and that it does have purpose. So in that way, great idea, and Jamila, obviously, I'd like to be a part of any conversation pertaining to that. So please count me in. Any other comments for Jamila, or any other questions regarding her report? Hearing none, Jamila, thanks again. I think Stacy is going to step in now and talk to us a little bit about grants and special projects.
Yes, thanks, Charles. Good morning, everyone. So I have been working on transitioning the new family violence coordinators into their roles. We've been setting up relevant training for them, also briefing them on our task force coordinator transition guide and beginning discussions on task force work. And Jamila and I are also working on dividing the state judicial circuits between the two coordinators. So we'll get that information out to you soon. I've also been transitioning into supporting our 3 grant projects. So I've been attending grant update meetings and working on grant administrative submissions. I'm going to talk to you about a couple of special projects that we have going on. The first one is the state plan update. So the update to the state plan to end family violence will begin next week. And so we're having a multidisciplinary working group that will be reviewing and updating the existing plan. As you may know, creating and maintaining the plan is one of the Commission's core legislative mandates, and the current state plan hasn't been updated since 2012. So we're definitely ready to get started on that work. So the group's focus is going to be to assess the existing plan, identify areas that need significant changes and updates, and generate a new edition of the state plan that incorporates the updates that we come up with as a group. So we anticipate that this will be a long-term project. It will be a structured project, and we will seek the Commission's expertise and provide you with updates along the way. Another project we're working on is the SAVES grant project. So the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement has awarded the Georgia Division of Child Support Services a SAVES grant, and that stands for Safe Access for Victim Economic Security. And so this grant is to help implement policies, procedures, and program services to help increase safety for domestic violence survivors who receive child support and for those who want to apply for child support. This program is also going to be part of the Family Justice Centers throughout the state. And so GCFV is a partner under this grant, and our staff has begun the undertaking of training all 3,000 child support providers on how to safely provide and expedite services to survivors through the child support system and court systems. And so we're going to teach them how to do that while integrating best practices for domestic violence dynamics into their work. And so there will be an all-site grantee meeting for all of the sites around the country. There are 12 other grantees from around the country, other than Georgia. That's going to be held December 4th and 6th in Denver. But Kylie and April have already begun training the child support survivors, and Kylie will probably talk about that more in her report. And so that's all I have. Thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know or email me.
Thank you, Stacy. Any questions or comments from commission members? Having not heard or seen indication of any, we'll move right along. Thanks again, Stacy. Appreciate it. We'll hear now from Callie, talking to us a little bit about training and engagement.
Wonderful. And I'm going to take the liberty as a co-host here to steal the screen real quickly. I hope you all indulge me as I give my report. I would love to see you guys holding your phone up to the screen here and scanning some QR codes to join us, but I'll talk about that in a second. To talk about training. So training during the summer months often does see a decrease in frequency and demand just because of summer travel and family commitments, and our huge focus of preparing for the conference. But excluding the conference, GCFV staff completed 8 trainings during the summer quarter, training at least 225 community partners. Highly requested topics during this quarter included stalking, murder, suicide, domestic violence, essentials, and 101. And then they really like it, an experiential activity that we provide on being kind of in her shoes type activity or in their shoes. And then, of course, we did a lot of training with the SAVES project, as Stacy detailed out before. We have a lot of new changes coming for the training program, so we'll be looking to share a lot of those coming this December. Then, of course, we did the conference, and Jamila gave us a wonderful report on that this time. So the other thing I really want to highlight right now is engagement. And so that's why I shared my screen, because we now are on 3 different social media platforms: Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And I would absolutely ask that each and every one of you, as a commission member and a community partner on this call, if you're on any kind of social media, I ask that you follow us. I ask that when you see content that we post, and it's going to become more and more frequent in the coming weeks and months, that you will share it if you feel like it's something that your friends, colleagues, and partners would take interest in. So I ask for your help with that. We really want to grow our base with this, and we need your help to do so. So we have these 3 platforms, so please scan these, share them, and share them accordingly. We're also in the process now of developing a content schedule and a calendar for how we will distribute information about upcoming projects and trainings, but this will be a primary vehicle for how we will get information out there. We're also developing a detailed standard operating procedure so that our social media pages our content is consistent and our communication and messaging all reflects the mission, vision, and values of the commission. Finally, the other way we communicate, you guys have all sometimes received emails from us through an email distribution service. Over this quarter, we sent over 37 communications, and our list is over 3,000 attendees. So we had a lot of communication that way. And again, you're going to see us, we're going to continue that, but we're going to start, you'll start seeing more little bites on social media. And then finally, as April highlighted, we are in the process of consolidating and revamping our newsletter. So we'll be having some more content coming out there soon. So lots to come. We are just getting started. So I welcome you following us. Any feedback or any questions, we welcome it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. I like the QR codes, and I will make sure that everyone in our agency is following us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So wonderful, great job.
Thank you. Okay.
This age of virtual platforms and the dissemination of information is right where we need to be.
Thank you.
So thanks again. Absolutely. Any questions, comments for Callie before we move forward? Seeing none and hearing none, we'll move right to the next presenter. And I think we're talking to Tim Griffin talking to us a little bit about Family Violence Task Force.
Hey everybody, good morning. So we're gonna go ahead, and this year, the Task Force of the Year award went to the Rockdale County Task Force Against Family Violence. The award was presented to them at our annual conference. And this award recognizes the task force exceptional dedication and dynamic work in addressing domestic violence within its community. So congratulations to you guys again. Also, a special congratulations to Miss Anne Marie Lugo. She was named this year's Task Force Member of the Year at the conference as well. This prestigious award recognizes individuals who work really hard to end domestic violence in their community. A little bit about Miss Anne Marie. She is a senior staff attorney with Gwinnett Legal Aid. She has been a relentless advocate for domestic violence survivors throughout her distinguished career. And in her role, she not only manages family violence law cases, but also spearheads the Gwinnett Family Violence Project. The Gwinnett Family Violence Project, excuse me. This critical initiative assists survivors in securing and enforcing temporary protective orders in Gwinnett County, providing essential support to those in need. So congratulations to Ms. Anne Marie again. As far as our FFIP Task Force Committee, we did have a committee meeting last week. We met to provide feedback on the proposed changes to the FFIP rules and standing operation procedures. The 7-member committee is chaired by Commissioner Charles Sperling and Commissioner Barbara Neville, and staffed by Jamila Farrell and Stacy Selden. The committee and staff discussed the proposed changes on how to enhance their implementation once adopted. This committee meets quarterly. Lastly, we still have circuits without task force. I'm about to name a few. So if you guys know any contacts or anybody in the area who is willing to start a task force in these areas, please let us know. The areas were going to be Tallapoosa, Southwestern, South Georgia, Rome, Paulding, Petula, Oconee, Middle Georgia, Cherokee, and Atlantic. And once again, if you guys have any contacts in any of those areas, please reach out to us so we can get task force going. And that's going to conclude my report.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions or comments for Tim from our commission members? Seeing none and hearing none, Tim, thanks again for your report, and we'll move right along on the agenda. We'll be hearing now from Carol Chateau, if I'm saying that correctly, and she'll be talking to us a little bit about family violence intervention programs.
Thank you, Mrs. Sperling. Good morning, everybody. I'm here to talk to you about family intervention programs for the quarterly commission meeting for today. We had two trainings in June and July for family FIP certification and participation in transfer process. The next family FIP basic training is scheduled for October 22nd to the 24th. Recertification and certification. In July, 4 programs were recertified, 3 programs were certified, 2 new facilitators were certified, 1 facilitator was recertified, and 1 provider did not recertify. Communications, as explained by April, we started Family VIP Updates newsletter and is put on hold until we could revise a communication plan. We have, we've been planning the Family VIP team planning training schedule for the year of 2024 to 25 with facilitators and providers. The rule revision, as Stacy stated, we're working on the next steps to revise the rules for the Family Task Force Committee. And that concludes my report out.
Thank you so much, Carol. Appreciate it. And likewise, are there any questions or comments for Carol from commission members? All right, seeing none and hearing none, we'll move right along in the agenda. We'll be hearing from Carolyn Brooks now and talking to us a little bit about Family Violence Fatality Review and that project.
Hi, thank you. So I am going to cover fatality review as well as law enforcement training program. We have 2 publications that have come out already this year, Walking the Line, Navigating Duty and Discretion and Responding to Family Violence, and our Family Violence Fact Sheet. They're available on our website and also are provided in your meeting information. We are currently working on a report on murder-suicides in Georgia as an update report from our 2016 in-depth fatality review report. We're excited about that and to be able to have a forward-facing report for people who want to know what is going on and what we have been doing over the last several years under Kylie's leadership and now Danielle's with the murder-suicide report as well as fatality review. We published the Remember My Name list for 2023 with all known and verified domestic violence fatalities for 2023. We had 163 confirmed fatalities in 2023. And this is a decrease from the previous year, but an increase overall if we look at the past 10 years. We still have an increase overall, but a decrease from the historic highs in the 2 years following the pandemic. 2024, we have 68 fatal incidents confirmed at this point with 97 fatalities. 28 of those are murder-suicide incidents with 53 fatalities. So we are on trend right now for another, unfortunately, record year in terms of our murder-suicide numbers and the proportion of those of our total fatality numbers. We have 50 cases on our watch list, which are cases that we suspect to be domestic violence fatalities, but are waiting on confirming information from our partners to know whether they are or not going to be included in our data set. Typically, about half of those cases end up being confirmed as domestic violence fatality cases. The number of fatalities is updated as new information becomes available. So if you see a variation in numbers with a presentation or a report or what I'm saying today, it's because as we get new information, we update our numbers and data. We've been involved in several collaborative multidisciplinary trainings over the last several months. Task force summits, that is the collaborative project between the task force, the Family Violence Task Force Coordinator or coordinators now, the Murder Suicide Project and Fatality Review and Law Enforcement Project coming together and providing training in areas that have requested technical assistance or further training around family violence and subcommittee development and how to use data to improve the family violence response. So those are really exciting and we're going to continue. We're working on scheduling some more in different areas of the state. From the law enforcement training side, I got back last night at 7:30 from GIPSTIC after a fantastic 2-day training there that we had over 60 people in our training, and the majority of them were law enforcement from all over the state. And we had, some national trainers there. We had some local trainers there and had a really robust discussion, a little lively at some points, depending on the topic, but really great training, and initial feedback is that it went really well and people want more of this training. So that's really exciting. A lot of effort and a lot of partnerships went into making that happen over the last 2 days in Forsyth at the Public Safety Training Center. We have 2 regional trainings coming up for law enforcement on December 3rd and December 6th at our some of our partners in those areas. So one will be in Henry County and one will be in Whitfield County. Excited about those partnerships and bringing in some intimate partner homicide prevention specialists to come and speak about how we can reduce our homicide and fatality rates. And then we have kind of a new old component of our project, kind of we're bringing back to the forefront here of looking at supporting and developing technical assistance for fatality review subcommittees with our task forces around the state, and providing some more support and resources so that those task forces are able to and encouraged to conduct fatality reviews and do those in-depth reviews that have been so valuable in the past for the fight against domestic violence and against and finding those systemic gaps in their areas and how we can improve those, close those gaps, and save lives. So we are working on engaging and re-engaging with task forces around conducting those fatality reviews. And then I'm going to hand it over to Rachel, my new partner in, I guess I shouldn't say crime, my new partner here in these projects as we are working on all of these things together. And you'll be hearing more and more from her as we start working on more projects together. So Rachel, I think I'm passing it off to you now.
Yeah, thanks, Carolyn. And hey, guys, I am, as mentioned, the new research and data analyst. So right now, what we're working on, as Carolyn mentioned, is completing that in-depth murder-suicide analysis for our upcoming report. We'll have that done by early December, so we're excited to share that. We were able to get some new annual data from our partners. We got that some 2023 incident data, as well as some TPO data from the GBI and the VSSR data from the CJCC. We continue to be fulfilling data requests from our external partners and are providing an in-depth data analysis for some other internal projects that we've got rolling. We are organizing family and violence intervention program data just to begin evaluating the overall effectiveness of the program thus far. As discussed, talking about some website updates, we are working on publishing data tables that can be filtered to create some customizable reports on the GCFV website. So exciting things coming. That is it for our report out, and I'll hand it back over to Charles.
Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate it. Thank you, Carolyn. Appreciate it. Any comments or questions from the commissioners? Thank you for that report. We appreciate the work you guys doing. That is a difficult topic, and the work is difficult when you start to consider this. You only have to turn the television sets on and look at the news to see how devastating those kinds of situations can be. So my hat's off to you, and thank you so much for the effort that you guys are putting into this. We'll move right along on the agenda and hear from Danielle Edwards talking about support for survivors of murder-suicide.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So I'm just going to start by just talking about the current data trends for murder-suicide. So far this year in 2024, we have 22 completed and 6 attempted murder-suicides. And that is as of date. Services provided to survivors in the second quarter of 2024, there were over 431 contacts and referrals with 75 new and existing survivors of murder-suicide. This is showing a consistent trend from the prior quarter. an update on the Georgia Murder Suicide Response Network and restorative retelling groups. We have now completed our 7th round of murder suicide support groups using the restorative retelling model. Group 8 will start on October 2nd, and Group 9 is slated to begin in the mid to late winter of 2025. I'm so excited to announce that we've also launched a new group on September 4th, and this group is specifically designated for injured survivors directly impacted by murder suicides. Again, like all of the work in the SSMS project, this group and service for injured survivors is the first of its kind nationwide. So I'm really excited about that. And the continued analysis of pre and post data on our groups continues to show significant improvement for survivors, and their feedback has been exceptionally favorable. And we would appreciate the commission members' assistance in promoting the group information. So please consider sharing our flyers on your social media and within your professional networks to help us expand our reach. One thing I will add, I'm excited, one of our facilitators this quarter is also licensed in Alabama. So for the first time, we'll be able to extend that support to survivors in Alabama. Community-based technical assistance and training on August 9th and 13th, GCFV hosted the virtual seminar, A New Way Forward, Introduction to SSMS. And we did that for Dawson and Lumpkin counties. And then on September 13th, we facilitated this training in person to the Rockdale County Task Force. Together, these trainings reach more than 50 community partners. The Cobb County Task Force has expressed interest in creating a SSMS subcommittee for their task force, and so we're going to provide the SSMS protocol training for them on November 13th. The SSM project, the Fatality Review Project, and task force coordinators are finalizing details to provide 2 task force summits before the end of the year. These will be in-person full-day trainings, and right now we're focusing on South Georgia, and we plan to cover the entire state over the next several years. So that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Danielle. Appreciate it. And any questions or comments from commissioners for Danielle? Seeing none and hearing none, we'll move right along with the last point on our agenda, and that's firearms lethality alert in Georgia. And that's going to be, we're going to be hearing from Jackie Herrera.
And actually, Charles, I'm going to jump in because Jackie is out sick today and round it out with the final report. So I'm sorry, it's been a long report day, but we've got new team, new information, a lot going on. So thank you all for bearing with us. I'll be brief. The FLAG project, as I mentioned earlier, is our newest project, and it has been over the last year in the development and implementation phase. We ran into some glitches with the ability to access the NICS data, which is the information that comes from those background checks that go up to the Federal Bureau of Investigation when somebody purchased from a licensed gun dealer. And so only certain agencies have the ability to access. You have to be a law enforcement or prosecutorial based agency. And since GCFV does not actually meet that requirement, we cannot receive those denial notifications directly from the feds. So we are making an adjustment to that project. We're in the process of getting a modification to our deliverables approved. And what we are going to do is work with local sheriffs and courts in certain communities to pilot a project to begin to give them a process to start doing notifications in-house. So we are first going to develop a protocol, a model protocol that can be replicated throughout the state, irrespective of the size and demographic of your community. And once that protocol has been developed, we're going to actually pilot it in different communities with different demographics and population sizes and geographic areas to give us some feedback, to tweak that, and then hopefully begin a rollout process into additional communities. So that modification, we've been given preliminary indication that modification to our deliverables will be accepted. And so we're waiting for final approval to begin those pilot projects and the protocol development. Beyond that, you've already heard about the trip to Colorado, the all sites meeting that was attended. The team that went did an excellent job. I'm grateful for them to represent Georgia and the commission in Colorado at that all sites meeting. And beyond that, there's technical assistance going on with this project. And we will be gathering data, working with our new data analyst to put together a firearms specific fact sheet for this project. So any questions related to this project, I'm happy to entertain. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, April. That brings us to our closure with short of asking about public comments. Jamila, do we have any requests in the queue?
Kylie actually has.
That is correct. I do have it, Charles, and we do have a request for public comment from Ms. Tamika Daniel.
I'll be very brief. I am trying to see if any of you have some great wisdom on how we can work to get our judges to order that guns be removed from batterers in our TPOs. If any of you have any new ideas, good ideas, we know that this is an issue and it's an ongoing issue. We are going to survey our staff to find out how frequently it's happening or it's not happening. But Vicki Kimball and I were talking and she asked me if I would bring this issue up to the group. If you guys have any ideas that you'd be willing to share with us, we'd be very, very grateful.
Thank you, Tamika. And you, ma'am, are commission member, so you certainly don't have to wait to public comment if you'd like to bring that up. But I will say that you bring up a great point, and Georgia it's obviously a big state with a lot of counties, a lot of jurisdictions, and a lot to reach. I know I see Director Clanton on here, and we obviously are grateful, so grateful to have such an amazing partner in AOC to work with for questions like this. But we may take that under advisement and perhaps put together a small working group that can discuss this. I know that some communities are better than others, or some jurisdictions are better than others at doing that more regularly. But it's maybe somewhat of a training issue. It may also be somewhat of a communication issue with, chief judges in different jurisdictions. So I think that that's an ongoing discussion, and it's a bigger challenge to actually accomplish. I don't know, Director Clinton, if you had any thoughts on it.
Absolutely. In a decentralized judicial branch with 1,600 judges who are very independent minded with many of their rulings, it is a moving target. I will tell you that we get limited response anytime we do a statewide survey. So we have tried to do training on the issue, and I think it's just something that comes up periodically that we need to make sure that it gets in front of the judges.
Just for clarification, Tamika, are you talking about at the ex parte or the second hearing?
The second hearing, unfortunately.
Ooh, yeah. We've had some success in the Western Circuit. We added some language that basically just is a couple of questions regarding the use of firearms by the respondent. And with that prompt in the paperwork, we have had a little more success in when the petitioner is able to articulate that, yes, firearms have been utilized, right, or threatened in the past, that the judges are more apt to call for their removal. Obviously, these aren't the standardized, right? It was a local tweak that we were able to initiate here. I've actually got a meeting with our legal advocates later, and I can see if my understanding is still current in terms of how that's working, or if it's improved, or if it's, as sometimes things go, you start out great and then after a while it falls a bit by the wayside. So I can get an update for you on that. But I'm absolutely happy to talk about any ways that we can utilize the bench book. If you find communities that are doing better on this, I am always happy to put that in the bench book. I struggle with finding good examples of practice, honestly, to put in there. But this is the time for me to do that. So I'm happy to have us follow up.
Why don't I do this? I'd be happy to pull together, you, Joan, Tamika, Vicky, and, Cynthia Clinton, Director Clinton, so that we can, and I think anybody else who's interested, any other commission members as well. But I'd be happy to pull us together and start a message group so we can coordinate a small group meeting to, determine an approach that may be helpful to, and maybe a long-term plan in terms of ongoing communication and training strategy.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Tamika, and all those that responded, and thank you, April, as always, for your willingness to pull us together to take care of these important issues. That brings us to a close for this meeting. Not to forget that our next meeting is in December 13th, and it will be in person with a hybrid option, possibly, and we'll be in Cobb County. So make a note of that, and I'll leave you with some words from John Gordon, who says that pessimists don't change the world. He also says that critics write words, but they don't write the future. He says that complainers talk about problems, but they don't solve them. So we're not positive people because life is easy. We're positive because life can be hard. So I want you to let that marinate with you as you enter into your weekend and continue to think positive about our work and be solution oriented. So on that note, I will end this meeting, and this meeting is officially closed. Thank you so much. April.
Thank you all. Everybody can come off mute and say goodbye.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.